I'm back today with some cozy autumnal horror film recommendations. I cannot believe how fast this year is going. We are like in the middle of September now, which is absolutely crazy because October is so close, which is my favourite month. This is my favourite time of the year as the weather gets colder and we have some rainy days, perfect for cozy movie nights. I have just done a rainy day horror film recommendation list, so you can always check that one out for more films kind of in the same sort of category. The first film on my list today is The Innkeepers. Claire and Luke are running the final shifts at an old inn before it closes down. They have one night left, so they take it in turns to sleep whilst the other one works. They typically don't really get many customers, but on the final night they surprisingly have a few passers-by. These two are also into paranormal investigation and they're set out to find unusual activity within the inn. Strange things start happening on this final night and they soon wish they never started digging into this inn's past. This is one of Ty West's older films. You may know him from the X trilogy, the films X, Maxine and Pearl. There is actually another one of his films on this list too. He is so good at creating great atmosphere. If you can guess what other film of his that I'm going to talk about later on, then leave it in the comments, then you can always edit it to let me know if you were right or not. It feels very fun and light-hearted at the start of this film, with the two colleagues just having a laugh with each other. It's a slow burn, but I do think it's necessary for the character development, which I feel like we got the perfect amount of to really get to know and get invested in these characters. The spookiness really comes in the second half, especially towards the end of the film. That's where the horror really lies. We get some fun jump scares and really tense moments. It's a classic haunted location film, but done really well. You can stream The Innkeepers on Prime Video. My next recommendation is Bloody Axe Wound. In this dystopian reality, a serial killer is famous for capturing his kills on videotape, which him and his daughter Abby sell at their VHS store. There isn't any cameras following him around. In this reality, they just do become videos. There's no explanation, it is just the way things are. The serial killer is getting old, so he tells his daughter Abby that she is going to have to take over to keep the family business alive. This is a super fun, light-hearted slasher, but with a twist. It's not too deep, very much a teen kind of film, sort of a coming-of-age finding yourself story. It's cozy and cute with a romance element, but it does also have a bit of gore, which actually took me by surprise as the practical effects are really good and it shows more than I thought it would. It's a really well-made film, perfect if you're just looking for something chill and cozy. You can stream Bloody Axe Wound on Shudder. Next is the film Your Monster. Laura is going through a lot with everything going wrong in her life at once. It seems like things just couldn't get any worse, but then she suddenly sees a monster in her apartment and finds out that he's been living there alongside her all this time. They have to decide if they can learn to live together or go their separate ways. This is a really cute horror romance. I would say maybe more of a spooky romance because it's not too heavy on the horror. It would probably fit more into the category of films like Beetlejuice. There is a really sweet message and meaning behind this film, which we really get to kind of see come to light at the end. I have recently spoken about this film in my non-gory horror recommendation video because you never really see too much and they pan away from the violence. The special effects, makeup and design of the monster looks incredible and super realistic. The actor literally looks unrecognizable. They've completely transformed him. Your Monster, of course, stars Melissa Barrera as our main character. She is one of my favourite actors in recent years, so that is basically the reason why I checked this film out in the first place. You can stream Your Monster on Now TV or buy it on Prime Video. My next recommendation is Gretel and Hansel. Living in the countryside, a young girl, Gretel, leads her younger brother into the woods. They're looking for anything they can eat or any work they can do. But what they find lurking in the woods is much more than they bargained for. This is directed by Osgood Perkins. It's his take on this dark, twisted fairy tale, traditionally known as Hansel and Gretel. If you're familiar with Osgood's work, then you know he is great at setting a really creepy tone. The visuals are stunning. It has a gritty but really beautiful look, especially within the woods. You can stream Gretel and Hansel on Prime Video. The next recommendation is Pet Semetary. A family of 4 moved town into a new house to be closer to the father's workplace. Well, there is 4 humans, but if we're including their cat Church, then there's 5 of them. They meet their next door neighbour, which is an elderly man called Judd. He's quick to inform the parents to be wary of speeding trucks on the highway next to their home. He also takes the family on a little trip to the local pet cemetery that the community children look after. After living in their new home for a while, their cat Church ends up getting run over on the highway. Judd takes Church and buries him at a cemetery that is past the pet cemetery, and by surprise, Church returns home the next day, but he is different. This isn't the last tragedy that the family will face, and it's not the last time that they will visit the cemetery. This is, of course, an adaptation of the Stephen King novel of the same name. There is actually also another remake that came out in more recent years, but I wasn't a massive fan of that one. In this late 90s tale, we see some really creepy visuals with the reincarnations, and also with a kind of side story to do with the mum. The setting of the cemeteries in general gives such a spooky vibe, just so perfect to watch this time of the year. You can rent or buy Pet Semetary on Prime Video and Apple TV. Next is my second Ty West recommendation, and that is The House of the Devil. A college student, Samantha, is looking for work to aid her financial struggles. She sees an advertisement for a babysitting job and decides to take it. But when she gets there, there isn't anyone to look after, and the homeowners are acting rather strange. She needs the money, so she agrees to stay in whilst they have a night out, but Samantha's evening is about to get a whole lot more eventful. Ty West, like Oz Perkins, is amazing at creating this creepy atmosphere within his films. They are both some of his older films that I've included in this list, but they do have a similar tone. The House of the Devil is set in the 80s, and it really does have that late 70s to 80s aesthetic. It's a slow burn that leads to a terrifying but inevitable finale. Samantha is such a cool character. Her actions at the end just show how fearless she really is. You can stream this film on Prime Video. Next is a film that came out last year, and that is Sting. Charlotte finds a spider in her room and decides to keep it as a pet. She keeps this a secret from her family because they're not too keen on the idea of her having a pet. Surprising to Charlotte, her pet spider rapidly grows and becomes a threat to everyone in the building. This is very reminiscent of 80s wacky creature features. I think it's a very underrated and underappreciated film. The comedy reminds me of so many films like Gremlins or Evil Dead 2. The cinematography is just so beautiful. We have some really interesting shots and some really cool and atmospheric lighting. This just really adds to the eeriness and makes for some really dramatic scenes. The scares are really creepy, and I just personally had so much fun watching this. It's clearly a film that is very aware of itself in the comedy and just in the whole story. I mean, the main girl is called Charlotte, so I can only assume that's a reference to Charlotte's Web. I really appreciated the practical effects, using a spider puppet for most of the scenes. You can rent or buy Sting on Prime Video, Apple TV and Google Play Movies. Next, I just had to include Van Helsing. Van Helsing is a monster hunter fighting all sorts of creatures, protecting townspeople, but also causing trouble. He's a bit of a vigilante. He ends up travelling to Transylvania with the goal of hunting down Dracula. This is such a classic. We see so many different types of monsters all in this one film. We see Frankenstein's monster, werewolves, vampires, to name just a few. Van Helsing is a really cool character, being a slayer of all of these monsters and being fully kitted out with unusual weapons and extensive knowledge. It's a fantasy horror with a light-hearted tone and comical elements alongside lots of action. The look of this film is dark, mysterious, and gothic with the old-style architecture and magical interiors full of candles and potions. You can stream Van Helsing on Netflix. My next recommendation also includes a monster, and that is Ginger Snaps. Two sisters, Ginger and Bridget, have a shared interest in death. Ginger ends up getting bitten by a dog, and her sister starts to notice changes. Is Ginger turning into something inhuman, or is this just teenage puberty? The sisters are both really likable characters. They're funny and you quickly become invested in their relationship. This is a coming of age story, especially as Ginger is going through a really hard time in her teenage years. We see some really iconic scenes of the sisters doing a school project on death, where they are pretending to be dead in different scenarios for photos. Werewolf films always scream cozy to me. I'm not sure what it is about them, but they just are always best watched huddled up under a blanket. Maybe it's because monster films just give me Halloween and autumn vibes. You can stream Ginger Snaps on Prime Video and Plex. My last recommendation is one of my favourites, and that is Halloween Free Season of the Witch. Silver Shamrock masks are the new big popular thing that every child wants for Halloween. But the people behind Silver Shamrock are beginning to be revealed to be a bit shady. Although this is the third film in the Halloween franchise, it actually has nothing to do with the rest of the films. It doesn't even have Michael Myers in it. It is the only Halloween film without him. This is one of my favourites in the franchise. I just love the uniqueness and the story. The design of the masks are really cool, visually perfect, and just so fun to watch this time of the year. It is a little bit bonkers and over the top at times, but I just feel like that's what gives it its charm. Halloween Free was actually what was meant to be the start of the Halloween films becoming an anthology series, but that quickly changed when this film didn't go down too well at the time, but has become a lot more popular in later years. When it first came out, it's actually the one that did the poorest in the franchise, but now it's a favourite for so many fans. You can rent or buy Halloween Free Season of the Witch on Prime Video, Apple TV and Google Play Movies. So that is it for today's video. Do let me know what your favourite films are to watch as the weather gets colder. What are your cozy autumnal horror picks? As always, thank you so much for being here and supporting my channel, and I'll see you again in another one very soon.